terrorists. Lawmakers today ask President Muhammadu Buhari to declare bandits terrorists. And the electoral umpire INEC says no bimodal, no voting as the commission prepares for Anambra governorship election. The umpire goes checking for Anambra poll. Hello everyone, welcome to Politics Today live on Channels Television. We're live for you in our Abuja studio in the nation's capital. I'm Sean Wakimale. Welcome on board everyone. Our conversation tonight is that of security and what the National Assembly is telling President Muhammadu Buhari is sort of an advice, but it was a motion on the floor. What does that mean? When they move that kind of motion on the floor, what are they telling the president? Don't forget, the Kaduna state government has also asked that there should be a shutdown of telecom service. They're not the only state that have done this. What does this mean for our national security architecture? That is what my panel tonight, distinguished panel that I have tonight, robust conversation that we have for you. So stay with me, everyone. So let's begin by first telling you that for those hoping to vote in the Anambra governorship election, please listen up. No bimodal use of bimodal technology, no voting in Anambra governorship election. At least that is what the electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it will do. INEC says it will deploy the bimodal voter accreditation system in the November 6 Anambra governorship election and has warned identity thieves to steer clear of polling units during the exercise. INEC's National Commissioner for Information, Mr. Festus Okoye, told journalists today at the Consultative Forum in Abuja. According to him, the new technology, which combines fingerprints and faces, will be the only means of authenticating voters at the November governorship election, and anyone who fails the authentication will not be allowed to vote. Take a listen to him.
The Commission will deploy the bimodal voter accreditation system for the accreditation of voters. The bimodal accreditation system will use fingerprints or facials for efficient voter accreditation. Therefore, those engaged in identity theft must steer clear of the polling units in Anambra State, as only voters that are properly authenticated using their fingerprints or facials will be allowed to vote. Furthermore, as some of you are already aware, on the 23rd day of May 2021, the Commission's facilities in its Anambra office were attacked and destroyed. I want to announce that this Commission has made substantial progress in restoring these facilities and other pumped national electoral assets. The implication is that in the next few days, the Commission will begin the movement of non-sensitive materials from its zonal stores in different parts of the Federation to Anambra State, preparatory to the batching and delivery of the said materials to the various local government offices of the Commission in Anambra State.
It's a loaded program that we have for you. Let's keep you up to date now with your political roundup stories.
The House of Representatives has set up a special committee to organize an investigative hearing with all critical stakeholders into the rising cost of living in the country. This follows a motion of urgent public importance by Representative Isiaka Ibrahim on the need to investigate the skyrocketing prices of commodities, goods and services across the country. The committee is to engage captains of industry, trade union associations, board of directors, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and others on ways for drastic reduction in prices of goods and services in the country. Former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan has made a case for maximum deployment of information and communications technology in the country's electoral system, urging the National Assembly to do all it can to make it possible. Former president said this will engender a higher level of trust in the country's electoral system and put less pressure on the legal and security systems in handling election-related matters.
Nation that they don't have confidence in the electoral management bodies, people will reject the results even before the result is announced. And sometimes when the result comes out, it favors them. But because of that aspect of fear that I'm not expecting the proper thing to be done is key. And that's why I was saying that the National Assembly, while looking at the law, must make sure that we use electronic ways or deploy maximum ICT.
The National Institute for Security Studies has held its annual security summit for top security personnel in Abuja. The 10-month Executive Intelligence Management Course, 14, is focused on key security topics for the development of the nation and sub-Saharan Africa. While delivering a paper titled Governance, Security and Sustainable Development in Africa, Nexus, Challenges and Prospects, the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike shares his thoughts through a 7-point presentation, during which he speaks on policies that can be adopted in developing effective security.
The concept of development was taken as a process of improving the quality of human lives through the provision of basic necessities such as food, shelter, water, sanitation, as the case may be, and social security.
The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has barred the federal government from retrying the former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu, on the 7.1 billion naira money laundering charge the EFCC earlier preferred against him. In a judgment delivered by Justice Inyang Ekwo, held that the Supreme Court did not, in the verdict it gave on May 8, 2020, order the retrial of either Mr. Kalu or his firm, Slot Nigeria Limited.
Then you're up to date with your political roundup stories. But before we get talking about that major conversation, let's tell you also that a bill seeking to amend the Petroleum Industry Act, the PIA, has passed second reading at the Senate. The bill was passed after Senate leader Senator Abdullahi Yahya moved a motion on the floor of the upper legislative chamber while leading the debate. Senator Yahya says the amendment bill will consolidate on the gains the National Assembly has made in giving a framework to the oil and gas sector. Senate President Mohamed Lawan referred the bill to the joint committees on upstream and downstream for further legislative action. The panel is expected to report back in 4 weeks.
Concerned that while the crackdown on the bandits was taking place in Zamfara State, no concerted effort or concrete measures had been taken in Sokoto State, leaving it totally exposed to the activities of the bandits. I urge the President and Commander-in-Chief to declare the bandits as terrorists and urge total war against them, including bombing all their locations to annihilate.
All right, let's get to our major topic for tonight, everyone. Get a seat, get a cup of coffee if you need it, because it rains here in Abuja. You might need it so you cool off and understand. We'll unpack some of these issues for you tonight. Let's get talking, shall we? The Senate is asking President Muhammadu Buhari to declare bandits as terrorists. The federal lawmakers also asked President Buhari to declare all the known leadership of the bandits wanted and track them wherever they are for arrest and prosecution. The resolutions followed a motion moved by the senator representing Sokoto East, Senator Ibrahim Abdullahi Gobir, and 8 others. Senator Gobir laments how his senatorial district has now become a safe haven for bandits due to the current onslaught against them in Zamfara State. We were going to play you that soundbite earlier, so listen to it now. That gives us a premise for the conversation. Take a listen to Senator Gobir.
Concerned that while the crackdown on the bandits was taking place in Zamfara State, no concerted effort or concrete measures had been taken in Sokoto State, leaving it totally exposed to the activities of the bandits. I urge the President and Commander-in-Chief to declare the bandits as terrorists and urge total war against them, including bombing all their locations to annihilate and eliminate them. B, declare the non-leadership of the bandits wanted and track them wherever they are for arrest and prosecution. And C, direct NEMA and other relevant government agencies to, as a matter of urgency, give all the necessary support to the victims of the menace of banditry in Sokoto and other parts of the country.
That is a plea of some of the lawmakers affected by the activities of these killers. Meanwhile, in Kaduna State, the government there has shut down telecommunication services in some parts of the state as part of critical measures towards crushing bandits in their identified hideout. The State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs says the decision was taken after a meeting with relevant federal agencies who recommended the shutting down of telecom services ahead of the commencement of military onslaught against bandits. He explained that the shutting down of telecom services is part of many steps taken to address the current security situation in Kaduna State and neighboring states in the northwest and north central regions. Kaduna State joins Zamfara and Katsina as a state in the northwest region who have now taken these measures in fighting the bandits. But let's take a look at it. What does this mean for our security and the war against banditry? I have joining me tonight a federal lawmaker representing Niger State, one of the states badly hit by this banditry situation, Senator Sani Musa, and two security experts, very senior ones at that, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, a former DSS director, and here also General Henry Ayola, a former commander, Operation Safe Havens. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight.
Thank you.
So it's a mix of experience of on the ground of what is happening in terms of tactics, in terms of intelligence, and in terms of what you're seeing in your constituents. First and foremost, let's begin. Senator, you were there on the floor today when a colleague of yours from Sokoto is saying, declare these bandits terrorists. Was that a unanimous plea from your colleagues on the floor today?
Thank you, Sheun. I am a co-sponsor of that bill. Of that motion. And the reason that we have to call for this is that the federal government has done all the needful. They've tried all they could to see that this menace is being controlled. They've given the opportunity, especially the state governors have given opportunities to these bandits to surrender. Some of them said so they surrendered and they went back after surrendering, after talking with the government, they went back. And we felt there is need for the federal government at this time to take a position. And that position is declaring these bandits as terrorists. So doing will give the government ample opportunity to deal decisively with these bandits. And the reason why we felt it's necessary for federal government to declare them as terrorists is, if you recall, is it Transparency International or which other group were making noise when Amnesty International, whenever the Nigerian military tried to act, the next thing they would say, the military is descending on civilians or killing people unjudiciously. So I think, they call them extrajudicial killings. So I feel what we have done on the floor of the Senate was supported by almost every senator. And I believe also the government is waiting for the representatives of the people, especially those that have been so affected by this menace, to come up with such a call. And that is what we did today.
What is on your mind? Because I need to follow up on that. So when you said, you are lawmakers, and a lot of people will think that there should be some laws to help fight. You might not be in the executive, you might not be able to carry arms, you're not in the military, but your role is to make laws, to amend the laws, and give an environment for policy to thrive. In that sense, what was going on your mind when you wanted, what solution do you think will come out of that?
Yes, there are quite a number of laws that we have made, especially on the issue of kidnapping and banditry. We have also made a lot of, there are laws, acts that have been passed bills that have been passed and been signed by Mr. President, especially on terrorism as well. So if we decide that today we feel the bandits in these terrorizing north central, northwestern states of Nigeria, and which they are already spreading to other parts of this country, there is need for us to see that this group of bandits are declared terrorists. And in so doing, the international community will as well give Nigeria the necessary support in order to deal with the menace.
So we're looking at this in a lot of ways. Let me go to the intelligence aspect, because before I come to the tactical, because the expertise, because also you are of the intelligence community, but Mr. Jaffor, you played in that terrain for several years. What does this mean in technical terms? Terrorists, bandits, what difference does it make in tagging them or name tagging them?
Well, you see, the problem we have that Nigeria has its own lexicon for every issue. I don't know when you talk of bandits, that unorganized group of criminals. We call them bandits. Then terrorists have political aims to possibly change the government and or bring government to disrepute. So what we're saying, what these people who are calling bandits, what are they doing? They have brought government to disrepute. They have brought government to a point that people don't have confidence in government. And the call by the Senate for a state of emergency, honestly speaking, I'm at a loss to what that means. Because if you recall that President Obasanjo then declared state of emergency in some states where the governors and the democratic structures were collapsed. You also recall that President Jonathan, about 2014 or thereabout, also declared state of emergency. So what are we talking about, state of emergency? What does it mean? Are you calling, in Zamfara, for instance, we have cut off communications. That is partial declaration of state of emergency because you are infringing on the people's rights to
not
communicate.
Only in Zamfara, Kaduna now, Katsina.
Yeah, yes, you are infringing on the people's rights. So you declare state of emergency. But the point I'm making is that before the Senate calls for state of emergency, have they met with the various service chiefs and the security agencies, all the related agencies, to say, well, we're overwhelmed, we cannot continue with the situation, or this is the way to go, before calling for state of emergency? So the point remains that, you see, we need to be coordinated in our approach to solving these problems. We are not coordinated. The Senate, yes, there are lawmakers, they are concerned about the situation in the country, the executive is concerned. What is the judiciary doing? So it should not be left for one arm of government. So I appreciate the Senate, the concern shown by the Senate, but it's not the right approach.
Mr. Jaffor, let me read out the dictionary, basic dictionary meaning of terrorism or terrorist. So terrorism is the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. Would you say the bandits have political aims?
They don't have political aims like the terrorists. I said it when I started.
Philosophically.
But the point remains that when you do things to undermine government and bring government to disrepute, you are more or less a terrorist. So I don't see why this group is long overdue that these bandits should be classified terrorists. But the fact remains, if you classify them terrorists, you see, a lot of groups have been classified terrorists, like IPOB. Government was able to go to court. So we need to approach this on a level playing ground, that there should be a level playing ground for everybody. It's long overdue that these bandits, or I call them terrorists, should have been declared terrorists. You recall that Boko Haram is about the third deadliest terrorist organization in the world. And this is Nigeria. And the bandits, or the bandits now, are in our own lexicon, are doing worse things than the terrorists and Boko Haram. They have spread from northeast, they have gone to northwest, they are in north central, they are in south-south, they are in southwest, everybody. So who are the bandits?
Let me bring in General Yola. So, General, if you as a former commander in the army, if you are leading your men on the field and there is a group of terrorists, how do you deal with them?
Okay, thank you very much, Sean. I think I want to start by commending the Senate for this collective action. Like Mr. Ejiofor said, it's a long-awaited one, but it's good that it has come. I see it as a formal collective expression of displeasure about what is happening in the area of banditry. Banditry, or bandits in Nigeria particularly, of course, I mean, it's been said again and again, there is no universal definition of terrorism. But of course, there are local definitions, depending on the peculiarities of each environment. And of course, if you look at the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011, as amended 2013, Section 1 of it actually defines what terrorism is, and Section 2 lays out the process for proscribing an organization and labeling it a terrorist organization. All that is required really is for either the Attorney General, the NSA, the National Security Advisor, or the IG of Police to make an application to any high court, of course, that's approved by the president, and it will go through the process and they will be prescribed and it will be gazetted. We've had the example of that. That's how Boko Haram and Ansarus were done in 2013. So that process is there. But the advantages of that are so many. Like the distinguished senator has said, it increases the kind of support you get both locally and globally. In the international community, or call it the global war against terrorism. So automatically you are bringing that under that cover. It means you can get external help in terms of support, equipment, even finance, once you bring it under that cover. That's one. But secondly, from the military perspective, it strips them of the protection of civilians. So just like the senator alluded to, so the international organization, human rights organization and so on, particularly you were talking about Amnesty, particularly. Yeah, so that shuts their mouth once they are stripped of that protection, that immunity as civilians. Because once they are labeled terrorist organization, it means they can be treated as combatants. Okay? And so they will be seen as you fighting any other adversary. And so the issue of human rights and all of that, we take a second seat.
So, I mean, it then brings me back to, and I love the fact that you gave a premise, you explained the process of proscribing such an organization, tactically speaking. And if some of these bandits are hearing us, if they are declared terrorists, from a commander in the warfare, in the war front, how would you treat a terrorist if someone is declared a terrorist?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Brutally.
No, you treat him like the way you would treat any enemy, adversary on the other side. So the normal laws of war will apply.
Have we been handicapped in rooting them out because they have not been name tagged?
Yeah, good. Another thing I see about what the Senate has done is actually they have prompted and prodded the executive, and perhaps even giving them the confidence to say, look, we are behind you. Any measure that is necessary, either incrementally or graduated fashion, to deal with this situation, we are backing you. And that's a good one. In fact, that actually has brought to the fore playing their own role actively in support of the executive.
If the bandits hear this now, should they be very afraid?
No, sure. They have to rethink.
I mean, the military architecture and the security architecture, when they name tag them terrorists, will the approach be different from how they've been tackled?
Sure. Already, I mean, again, we need to appreciate our armed forces. In recent time, there has been a serious improvement in their dealing with these bandits. And of course, so when they hear this too, it will further boost their morale. Then it means they know they have the backing of all the arms of government to do what they are doing. And so, I mean, the freedom of action will increase. And that gives them a lot of maneuver, a lot of space to do so many things.
Right. Because this is not the first time, Senator, that we are hearing declare them terrorists. Is there some kind of hesitation that they have not been declared terrorists?
I do not think there is any hesitation, Sheung. We are in a democracy, and government cannot just quickly or in haste decide to act. As part of what the government is expecting us to do as true representatives of the people, and the government also for the people, is what we have just done. And as you said, yes, true. I'm one of those people that have been very vocal in terms of calling on government to act. And in all the calls we have made to government, I think we have seen the proactive position of the government, especially when I made the call on the floor of the chamber that there is need for the service chiefs to go. Mr. President took his time to see that action is being taken at the right time. And the time he did it, I think, was appropriate because we are not military tacticians, we are politicians, so we wouldn't know. So what he did was right, and we supported it wholeheartedly, we supported it. And the government went further to come up with a supplementary budget in order to tackle this situation of security in this country. So I think the president deserves some commendation in this. He changed the service chiefs, and he also had a series of meetings with the new service chiefs.
Has that worked? Has that action worked?
It's working, of course. It's working. Why I said it's working? Because now the military is taking some real actions in Zamfara state, and by extension, what is happening in Zamfara made these bandits or terrorists to start running to other places. And so doing now, they are trying in other way, they are trying to make government or the military get overwhelmed by, like, now where do we send the military, or if it is
the movement is not in a ragtag format, they're moving like moving up and down.
So if these guys are declared bandits, if they are declared terrorists now, the military will now sit down, go back, and re-strategize.
But Senator, how bad you are representing? And there was a time that you were on the program and you told us about the situation in your state as far as these banditries, where they kidnap students from your some of your constituent members of your constituent. How bad are things in your state, for example?
In the last 6 months, it was very bad. Not until when the new service chiefs came in, and there was kind of action that was different from what they were doing before. And we had some kind of peace for some times. Not until now when they went, or, the terrorists all went back. It seems like the epicenter of it is Zamfara. So when they all went back to Zamfara, and now the government decided to now hit them in Zamfara, they're now spreading back. We have had some peace in the last 2 months. We have had some peace. But now they are back. And they are very ruthless now. So now we want the government also to be very ruthless on them.
Because we'll take a break now. We're due for a break. But when we come back, the expert in intelligence will be telling us if they are really organized. Are these guys organized? If they are organized, how do you tackle them? How do you gather information to really arrest this situation? And one of the questions is also, do we really know these people that we are tackling or battling with? Are they locals, or they are having foreign help? And at some point, we'll understand that they are getting arms and ammunition for free. Even for so cheap. How do we tackle this headlong? And these are some of the conversations we'll have when we return from this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, and welcome back, everyone. We've been discussing the call by the federal lawmakers today to declare bandits terrorists. What does this mean? We're also discussing the measures to defeating these killers. My panel tonight, very robust one. Having a federal lawmaker representing Niger said one of the states badly hit by the banditry, Senator Sani Musa, And to security expert Mr. Mike Ejiofor, a former DSS director, and General Henry Ayola, a former commander, Operation Safe Havens. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming in tonight. I was saying that when we come back, we're going to start with you. The question is, Mr. Ejiofor, are these bandits organized? We know that the Boko Haram members, they're very organized. ISWAP, organized. Are these guys, do they have the same kind of network? Are they that organized too?
They are very well structured. Well, intelligence has also revealed that the leadership of these groups are known. In fact, you recall that some of them even threaten communities when they are arrested, threaten communities to release their own bandits too, in exchange for maybe some victims. So they are very well structured. And I think they are working towards the same structure with Boko Haram. It's gone beyond economic reasons or collecting money. Another major problem is that most of these bandits or terrorists, and that's why I'm in support of the Senate's call for declaration of these groups as terrorist groups, they have external affiliation. Most of them come from Niger, and Niger is even in trouble trying to control them because our borders are porous. And they have, like you said when you started, they have easy access to arms. So if you don't declare them terrorists, it becomes a challenge and it's a boost on the government. I would rather call on the executive to heed this call by the Senate to declare this group for whatever it is, follow the due process of declaring them terrorist organization, because they are spread. Boko Haram is restricted to the northeast, but these bandits operate everywhere. They are in north central, they are in northwest, they're operating in southwest, they're operating virtually everywhere. In south-south, they are there. So I believe that this call by the Senate is timely, but where I have problem is the approach. Like General said, there are procedures of declaring these people terrorist organizations. The problem now lies with the executive to take that initiative. One is going to get support, international support, that Nigeria is serious in fighting this terrorism of bandits. And we'll get support. I can tell you that a lot of people, international or other countries, don't have confidence because of this non-declaration of these groups as terrorist organizations. So it's important that government declares them, and I think we'll get more international support.
I was asking the question, and Senator, I'd like you to also weigh in. Do we know these people? Are they known? Are they locals? You mentioned that some elements of them are from Nigeria and some other neighboring countries. Senator, do we know them? Are there possibility that your people are telling you that maybe one of them are locals? Because I'm going to make an inference of one of the interviews that I've had. Or do we know them?
I wouldn't say we know them, but as they operate, just as we said, they have cells and they have kind of leadership structure in their cells. I will recall that one of the renowned Islamic scholars, this Shagumi, was at the time going into the forest to meet with these people. I think somebody like Shagumi should be asked how he has a contact to reach these people. And if he can reach these people, why is it that, he has not been able to help the government in order to get these people neutralized?
Mr. Ejiofor, what do you make of that kind of information?
Yeah,
for intelligence community?
It's disturbing because, first of all, I tell you that most of these operations are intelligence-driven. And the volume or the quantum of intelligence gathered on these people is huge. Huge in the sense that some of them are known by the intelligence agencies and the arrests are being made. And I also believe that, some of them, the security forces are at times frustrated. You are arresting people who are still fighting war, and people are also calling for amnesty. So how do you reconcile that? Some of them who have even been granted amnesty go back to that criminality. So government must take a stand on this very issue, declare them so that they will know we are dealing with opponents or combatants, like General said. But I can tell you, there's a lot of intelligence on their structure, the leadership, and all what have you. It's known.
The state is aware. The intelligence community is aware. I'm going to come to General, and we'll need your technical explanation in this area. But before then, Mr. Ejiofor, for shutting down telecommunication network in some of these states, what sense does that make for you as an intelligence person? And look at it from this perspective. Two governors had said to me on this program, look, when they shut down the telecommunications, it does look like the activities were frustrated. When some of the governors went to the House of Assembly to say, give us a law that will stop the activities of these people, some roads were blocked so that they can stop some of the activities. And it does look like this is working, because if it's not working, Kaduna State will not take turn in that policy. What do you make of that?
You see, in both intelligence and operations, communication is key, very key. So if you demobilize them from reaching themselves in that area, they become inoperative. So I think it's very important that although it will bring a lot of hardship on the citizens, and that's why I said that the Senate cause is even in line with all the decisions already taken to frustrate people from communicating.
Governor Masari said, Mr. Ejiofor, that they know that locals are informants to these people.
Yeah,
when they are going after them, before they even get to them, some of these locals have told them
that brings me to...
And they take food, fuel, and that's why they are banning and stopping the carrying of fuel in jerrycans and all of that. These are measures that some of these governments have taken.
That brings me to another issue. You know, in espionage, for instance, we have what is called bridgehead. For the foreigners who are operating, they cannot just come into Nigeria and start operating without local collaborators. And the local collaborators also operating in the communities. Members of the community are afraid because government is not, the security forces are not giving that same assurance to protect them. So it's like finding themselves in a very precarious position. Instead of aligning with the security forces, they're now aligned with the terrorists.
What do they stand to gain? I mean, it's like
out of fear.
Putting fire.
I give you an example. Out of fear, they do all this. You see, like when IPOB declares sit at home, some people will just sit at home because they are afraid to come out or because of any reprisal or consequences of their action. So that is what some of them will cooperate. And not only that, some of them are forcefully put into the terrorist organizations. Some even go out on their own for pecuniary reasons. So there are so many reasons for this.
There is another angle to this, which is scary, and perhaps General can explain what this means and how we can tackle it. There was an information that there are reports of the westward and the southward movement of the terrorists, the Boko Haram and ISWAP members who were escaping from the northeast region. They were moving westward and not southward. Can this explain to the manner in which this banditry has taken a larger scale? And what are the implications of, if true, because we understand that it was a leak report from the intelligence community?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that perhaps underlines the reason why this kind of action should be taken, because, like I said, there are about 5 components of bandits in Nigeria today, starting from the original one about the mid-90s, which were the fallouts of some of the internal crises in Mali, Chad, Niger, Libya, and so on, and to the ones that came, the peculiar one that started in Zamfara. I mean, from what we know, it's actually peculiar because it's been politicized and all of that, which is not the same with some of the other components. And of course, so the best way really, rather than striving to identify these differences as to deal with them, individually, is to lump them up. And once you put this label on them, then you can deal with them as a whole. you know. And again, like Mr. Joffo talked about, I think Senator also alluded to that about the push of, Sheikh Gumi and some other people talking about amnesty and all of that. I mean, it will amount to turning justice on his head. It's like a conceptual suicide to be talking about amnesty, because you're talking of people who have killed our military men, our population, and all of that. I mean, there's what is called the wrath of the law. It's not, the wrath of the law is not atoned by just a mere, flippant forgiveness. It's not done. There is a concept of expiation, propitiation, that averts the wrath of the law, and that's the purpose of punishment. Punishment is meant to achieve some of these purposes. So at the end of the day, how do you want a soldier who's been killed or who knows his colleague had died to feel and be willing to fight further, knowing fully well that the same person that killed his colleague is now back free? It's not done. It's not done.
General, there was a time the governor of Kaduna State said, anyone in the forest is a criminal. And one part of his statement was that the military should root them out. They should go and flush them out of the forest. Is that a difficult task?
Yeah, well, the army, I've said that again and again, does not determine war by itself. The commanders of the armed forces take orders. Okay, so no matter how you feel, how strong you feel about any issue, it's not in your place to determine what to do to deal with it. If your political master say this is the limit of your exploitation or the limit of action, that's it. You stay there. So again, like I said, this will help to give confidence to not only the service chiefs, even the operational commanders on the ground. When they hear this kind of news, they feel emboldened to do more to get this work done. So it's a good move. And for me, I think it's the way to go. It will help get these things done faster and better.
Because one of the things for those who are living in the very densely populated areas of the southwest, especially Lagos, Abuja, who are experiencing the metropolitan life and who are not really seeing the rustic nature of some of these areas we're talking about, are always wondering. I know that these guys, when they do their act, they go on motorbikes and they move several kilometers. And the question is that what does the security architecture looks like such that these guys can ply their trade and go for several kilometers? Senator, how vast are the forests, for example, in Niger State? I know Niger State can sink about 3 or 4 states in the south easily because of the land mass, very, very large. It's probably the largest state in terms of land mass in Nigeria. What does this forest? What do they look like? Does this forest? Because I know some of them are in your constituency. Are they still useful? Well, I mean, they are hideouts for these criminals.
Shehu, when you are talking about this forest, in fact, the federal government have made some of them as reserves, game reserves, and these forests are so thick and they go a very long distance. Like the Kamuku forest, if you take it right from Zamfara axis, it goes down up to Borgu area, that's down to close to Kebbi State. And the same thing in Niger State, we have the Alawa forest, which also move up to Chukun in Kaduna State. So it's so thick. And the terrain is not motorable, that you can easily have access to it. So when this call was made by His Excellency, I'm sure he made it thinking the forest is just in a very seclusive place that attack can be made. The forest goes so many hundreds of kilometers. But just as we are saying, it is up to Nigerians, not only the government, to face the reality of this time. because in so many cases, I will give you instances in Niger State where they apprehended some of these bandits who came to do cattle rustling. They were caught. They were caught with arms. They were caught with cows and everything.
So, in this sense, Mr. Ejiofor, how do you deal with this kind of situation when you have that vast? Because in some people's mind, maybe we're watching too much of movies and we think that you can just bomb them and root them out and take them. Because the headache of hearing every day that these bandits are operating is sickening. And when we think that, let us just bomb them out and root them out. We already have the firepower. America has sold us, we've gotten delivery of 6 of the to Kano. Why are we not using it? That's perhaps what is on the mind of an average Nigerian.
Well, it's not that we're not using it, but you can also see that there have been a lot of casualties, misdirected attacks on innocent civilians. And that's a problem. These people mix with the common populace. But my worry, we're talking of thick forest. How do these people move? En masse, that they will come to a school, abduct 300. Do you know what it means to take 300? It baffles me, and I can't even contemplate how many buses.
And I would say it takes about 3-4 hours sometimes for them to finish the operation.
And every day we'll continue to see this. So that is why I'm saying, and I'm insisting and in support of the Senate's call for declaration of these groups as terrorists, so that they will be treated as such.
How urgent should
they will be
this call
treated as such? There's no issue. You don't negotiate with terrorists.
If you were the president, Mr. Ejiofor, what would you do differently?
Well, I'll heed the Senate's call, following the due process, going to court, the executive, and declare these people terrorists so that they will be treated as such. Unless that is done, we're still going to be going around the circle. And it's a major problem, because if you look at the damage, the havoc these people have caused, is both to the economy and the polity, it's enormous. And as we are talking about all this, we're also approaching 2023. And politicians are hitting up the polity, making even the precarious security situation worse. So they must also guide their statement. So let us face this issue of banditry, terrorism, and kidnapping, and all this thing. Let them not complicate this matter. So it's my advice for our politicians to guide their statements by not making provocative statements. They should be guided.
Senator Sani Musa is here. He has heard you. He's a representative of the politician here on this panel. Senator.
Sheun, I think, just as I said earlier, the responsibility of protecting lives and properties is with government. So also, Nigerian citizens must also give government maximum support. It is not in the best interest of this country. I want to agree with Mr. Ejiofor. It's not in the best interest of this country. We, the leaders, that the populace are looking up to us, making certain kind of harsh statements that is not in line or intended with the ideals of the government, just because you want to be heard. I think this is a time that everyone has to come together to see how collectively we can fight this menace. I can cite a very good example. We have a state governor that opens his mouth and talk lousy, talk carelessly, not caring, knowing that what he is saying is really hitting at the concerns of many that cares about this country. We don't have any other country but Nigeria. If you happen to be an opportunist, to be in a position of authority, you should be guided, because your statements create a kind of confusion and make a lot of people to feel that lack of confidence, just as Mr. Ejiofor said, in governance.
General, let's wrap up now, and I want to get your parting words on this. As a nation, it's a critical moment that we are in, and we also need to, because of history and posterity, we also need to look for a reasonable way of handling this situation so that people will not die any longer. What would be your parting words and a word of advice in the way to go for your years of experience in the military?
Okay, sorry. Just before then, you were talking about the shutting down of communication.
Telecommunications.
It's like you want us to put that aside.
No, you can touch on it.
Okay, just a quick one. Well, we've seen examples of that. It's a double-edged thing, no doubt, but of course it can be done selectively. Of course, as a signal officer, I mean, telecom is part of my area of expertise, and I know that with the NCC working with the telephone operators, they can select so that the negative effect will be limited and restricted. The areas where these bandits are known to be operating, especially where they are closer to the border of the nation. But again, we've discovered that even sometimes those who operate close to the border, they can use the network of the other nations. So we may have to also liaise with the nations that we are bordering with to be able to offer the same kind of service to us when we are doing and coordinate them so they can have maximum effect. My advice to all Nigerians, again, is saying it again and again, that security is everyone's business. I believe in an all stakeholders approach to solving national problems. It's not a matter of just government. It's not as if the government are students and we are vigilators marking them. No. We are all supposed to bring our collective best and putting our best foot forward in solving any national problem. So let's all rise and make Nigeria great.
We just have 60 seconds to go. Mr. Ejiofor, in 30 seconds, your parting words.
My parting word is just like a general said, we must all come together. Nigeria belongs to all of us. It's not in anybody's interest that Nigeria disintegrates. We all lose. So the most important thing is to ensure that this country remains one by being fair, equitable, and justiciable to all.
Senator, 30 seconds, your parting words.
Just as my colleagues have said it, this is a country that we have and with so much love. There's no any other place to go. All I will call on Nigerians is that we should give this government all the necessary support. And we at the National Assembly, we are ready to give Mr. President all the support. And we are commending Mr. President for doing all he is doing today in order to tackle the security situation of this country.
Senator Sani Musa, federal lawmaker representing Niger State, and one of those who sponsored the motion on the floor to declare the bandits terrorists. General Henry Ayola, former commander of Operation Safe Haven, thank you so much for coming. Mr. Mike Ejiofor, a friend in the house, thank you so much. Former DSS director, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Well, there you have it. That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimberly. Bye-bye.